for the first time forcing the ousted leader in weeks. We met Bazoum. We heard from him what was done to him. He told us about the problem he is facing. He will take it to the leaders who sent us, said Abdul Salami. Without doubt, the meeting has opened. Discussions to lead a way to resolve the crisis is on way. A previous ECOWAS delegation led by Abdul Salami earlier this month tried and failed to meet Bazoum and the coup leader. The West African representative also met with Tijani, who on Saturday, though there was no information as to what was discussed, there was no immediate comment from the military rulers. Tashani was scheduled to address the nation in a televised address on Saturday evening. ECOWAS delegate came to Niamey and joined effort by United Nations representative for West Africa and the Sahel, Lindo Santos Saino, who arrived on Friday in trying to facilitate resolution continuing with the crisis. On Friday, UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric said Samuel would meet the military rulers and other parties to try and facilitate a swift and peaceful resolution to Niger's crisis. What we want to see is the return to constitutional order. We want to see the liberation of the president and his family and restoration of his legitimate authority, Dujarric said. On August 10th, ECOWAS ordered the deployment of a standby force to restore constitutional rule in the country. The soldiers who overthrew democratically elected President Bazoum in July have quickly entrenched themselves into power, rebuffed most of the dialogue efforts, and kept Bazoum, his wife, and son under house arrest. On Friday, ECOWAS Commission for Peace and Security Abdul Fattah Musa said 11 of its member states agreed to commit troops to a military deployment, saying they were ready to go whenever the order was given. The D-Day is also decided, he added. The 11 member states do not include Niger itself and blocks 3 other countries under the military rule following the coup: Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso. The latter 2 have warned they would consider any intervention in Niger as an act of war. On Friday, Niger State Television said Mali and Burkina Faso dispatched warplanes in a show of solidarity. Friday's announcement is the latest in a series of empty threats by ECOWAS to forcefully restore democratic rule in Niger, conflict analysts say. Immediately after the coup, the bloc gave the military government 7 days to release and restore Bazoum, a deadline that came and went with no action. The purchased won't be holding their breath this time over the renewed threat of military action, said Lassni, head of the Sahel program at the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, a think tank, talk. Mutinous soldiers were cementing their rule and appointing loyal commanders to key units. Why? ECOWAS has no experience with military action in hostile country and would have no local support if it tried to intervene, he said. Niger is a fragile country that can easily turn, in the case of a military intervention, into a failed state like Sudan, Lassini said. ECOWAS used force to restore order in member countries in 2017 in the Gambia, when long-time President Yahya Jammeh refused to step down after he lost the presidential election. But in that case, the move had involved diplomatic efforts. led by the then president of Mauritania and Guinea, while Jammeh appeared to be acting on his own after the Gambian army pledged allegiances to the winner of the election, Adama Barrow. On the street of the capital on Saturday, many residents said they are preparing to fight back against ECOWAS military intervention. Thousands of people in Niamey lined up against the main stadium to register as volunteers or fighters as to help with other needs in case the military government requires support. Some parents brought their children to sign up. Others said they had been waiting since 3 a.m. while groups of youth boisterously chanted in favor of the military leaders against ECOWAS and the country's former colonial ruler France. The humanitarian situation in the country. Okay, I am here to recruit to become a soldier. We are all here for that, said Ishmael Hassan, a resident waiting in line to register. If God wills, we will go. The humanitarian situation in the country is also on the agenda. Before the coup, nearly 3 million people were facing severe food insecurity and hundreds of thousands were internally displaced, according to CARE, an international aid agent. Economic and travel sanctions imposed by ECOWAS after the coup, with the deteriorating security, will have direct consequences for the population, CARE said. Previously, Western countries saw Niger as one of the last democratic nations they could back down with to break back growing attacks linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIL armed group and pour millions of dollars of military aid and assistance into shoring up Niger forces. Since the coup, fighters have been taking advantage of the freedom of movement caused by the suspended military operation by the French and Americans and a distracted Nigerian army focusing effort on the capital. Last week, at least 70 soldiers were killed and 20 wounded during an ambush. It was the first major attack against Niger's army in 6 months. A day later, at least 50 civilians were killed in the Talabari region by the suspected IC fighters. The recent attack should motivate all parties to work for a speedy and inclusive transition as possible so they can get back to the crucial business of protecting civilians from the devastating consequences of war, said Koronin Dufaka, a political analyst who specializes in the Sahel region. In due time, Nigerians and their partners should look and hard at why and how democracy in Niger flattered. This was a special report on Niger. We all know, we all are seeing the fragile, maybe a peace that is going on into Niger. And we have noticed that ECOWAS, according to them, they said they have the intention to invade Niger and the D-Day has actually been set. But unfortunately, development into Niger itself is definitely not helping the situation. Are they all going to overthrow the government of Niger or the military-led government of Niger in the name of Bazoum alone or in its populace? Because based on reports seen, maybe and also other footage in the country, I think the Nigerians are somehow happy with the military takeover. Although unarguably, when military takeover at times, you find it very difficult how to come across their or against their persons, which you can easily be laying your life up for grab. And I think some people within one region or the other may definitely not come against the military junta boys and maybe profess their support for ECOWAS intervention, because that could be seen as a betrayal of state and maybe the military can come down on the heavily. But now we are seeing that even the civilians, because ECOWAS has set a D-Day in their latest meeting yesterday, and they also dispatched a delegation led by the former military strongman of Nigeria, Abdulsalami Abubakar. Maybe their being into Niamey yesterday was just like giving the military an ultimatum to either leave or they would fear a possible military action. Unfortunately, the military is saying that an attack on Niger will not only have a dire consequence on Niger, but also its surrounding neighbors. And the military boys have actually strictly warned that it wouldn't be just like walking into an empty land. They will be rebuffed fully. They have the military capability to retaliate. And in the show of solidarity, we have seen both Mali and Burkina Faso dispatch their military planes or war planes in the form of solidarity to ensure that Niger is not being left alone. Now look at how people are coming on the street, especially like the Nigerians, school pupils and other people. They are registering. Maybe I don't want to call it conscription, but they are recruiting, because willingly the conscription comes by force. But when you want to recruit, in fact, willingly they are giving themselves maybe to serve against a possible invasion of ECOWAS. I think ECOWAS should see this, and the best solution to me to the crisis is to maybe follow up the negotiation principle, because these guys are definitely not willing to let go power, and there is nobody demonstrating against their persons or their military takeover into Niger. And since they took over, we have not seen where they have killed, tortured, or have done anything extraordinary, although they have been facing attack across the Sahel region into their country, especially by ISIL and other Al-Qaeda network, which of course they think and feel that with a fully military supported government in power, they have the ability to maybe do away with the military crisis that they are facing, or the jihadist crisis. But we saw that in Mali, instead of it curtailing, it has exacerbated. We saw that in Burkina Faso, instead of it stopping, it is definitely on the increase. And they are saying they should give them 3 years, and that is what ECOWAS is against. They are saying they should give them 3 years, and in 3 years' time they will maybe form and hand over power to a fully set up civilian government. We don't know how, and they have not given. We don't know if whether the 3 years start this year or it will be starting effective December or January 2024, which will definitely last in 2027, and that is definitely what ECOWAS is against. But I am thinking that at the end of the day, ECOWAS may be left without an option rather than to go into negotiation. But if they decide now to say they are going to attack, I think they are going to take on the civilians, they are going to take on against the Nigerian army, and they may not have that absolute support within the country itself, because I don't think whether nobody in Niger is asking ECOWAS to attack. It is only ECOWAS. So why should ECOWAS want to decide the fate of a country who have not demanded for their support? I have not heard nor seen any civil society, opposition leaders, or any social network group demanding that ECOWAS should attack. I have not seen any group giving them an ultimatum since the military took over some part of last month. They have been unanimous, they have been peaceful, they have been doing things on their own. So I am afraid, but I have to confess that maybe, just maybe, I think ECOWAS need to negotiate, to lobby with the khaki boys. Because first, let them lobby for the release of President Bazoum and his son, whom they are claiming that he has maybe a heart problem, and also the wife, and a few other guys who have definitely been arrested, and they are under detention. And the military also threatened that should ECOWAS attack, the life of President Bazoum and his family are going to be put at risk, meaning they will kill them. And they have key figures also arrested at the Minister of Finance, and other key stakeholders, Agriculture Minister, different people, Foreign Minister. Of course, he's not in India, he was in France. That is why he's creating maybe a huge amount of noise, maybe asking the military to hand over power, calling them as illegal government. They do not. I think he is also not helping situation, because at this particular stage, if you come up to maybe criticize, lambast, or just reprimand a kind of military like that, and you know that your colleagues are in their hand, you could easily be endangering their life. And maybe if you start now campaigning for Western action against Niger, which could result into sanction, then possible invasion of the country, those guys who are already found in the web or net of the junta boys, life can easily be determined by them. So I am afraid, but ECOWAS on its own, does ECOWAS have the military strength to take over Niger? Maybe yes, maybe no. One, when you watch at the surrounding of Niger, almost all of them are in crisis. Of course, Nigeria, which is our big brother, Nigeria is involved into banditry fight. It is involved into the fight against Boko Haram, ASWAP, maybe the MNJD, IPOP, and even those who are emancipating for the freedom of the Niger Delta. And it is facing maybe internal crisis, demonstration, maybe high cost of living. We have seen places like Yola and Adamawa State, it was being attacked, shot, looted. And Nigeria is not that peaceful. The current president was controversially elected. He's facing court cases. He's not that too young to be thinking too much. Now, and all of these things are around. I think ECOWAS should not follow Western ideology, maybe pressurizing them to take on Niger, especially when they have interest into the uranium, and within Western countries within one, maybe Russia or China, to use this as an opportunity to start the exploitation of uranium. Maybe they may also turn Niger into another port where almost everything can happen over there. Niger could easily become another failed state like Sudan, like Somalia, if things like this happen, because each time there is a war, we see controversy, the country is definitely going to be divided. See what is happening today in Libya. Maybe all of us, we are complaining because of the draconian one-party mentality of North Africans. But unfortunately, throughout their regime into the north, we never saw, nor heard, nor witnessed any political deterioration that resulted into massive killing of 8 citizens, division of the country, having factions different in different part of the country, compared to what happened or what is happening after the Arab uprising in 2011. Niger is in the middle of countries like Nigeria, share boundaries with Niger, Benin share another boundary, Chad share another boundary, of course Mali share a boundary in Niger. Then you are seeing places like Libya and Algeria. So Niger found itself within this 6 countries. And all these 6 countries that I have named, maybe the only one that has not faced or that is not facing internal military operation is like places like Benin, but the rest are having their own crisis. I can understand in the name of Benin, because they are now also very, very afraid, because they wouldn't know what may happen with them after all of these scenarios are going on within the Sahel. But I think advising ECOWAS or towing the line of ECOWAS to attack Niger may definitely not help to solve the situation. And among the 16 member states, I think it is only 11 that have supported, and the like of Niger itself has ruled itself out. Of course, we are seeing Burkina Faso and Mali are definitely not subscribers, even Guinea. So, and Chad also did not consent, but the 11 are pressing. And I don't know how Big Brother Nigeria may be able to quiet down the situation. If you watch like in Nigeria, of course, especially people in the northern part of Nigeria that share boundaries in Niger, most of them actually found themselves into part of the Sahel region in Niger as refugees because of the Islamic activities that is taking place into Nigeria. And when you see Niger, you watch at the Sokoto Caliphate. That is a part of Niger. You think about Sokoto itself, then Benin, and Nigeria. These are the 3 regions that found themselves. They are all part of the same Sokoto Caliphate. So they are the same people. They know themselves, they share the same culture, the same tradition, and they can even tell you, if you get into Sokoto State, one in every 3 Nigerians is a Nigerian, and almost all of them have close ties with Niger. Similarly, Niger has close ties with Nigeria. So why take on these people through a military operation? I think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu need to be critically informed. But I can understand he has a very bad taste for military regime, because if you can deep down into history, he was somehow tortured, maybe detained, and even forced to flee the country of Nigeria under the former military ruler Sani Abacha, who died in office. Only when Abacha died, that was the time he came. And when he came, his inaugural speech, one of the things he said, going to withdraw subsidy from the fuel, of course, we resulted in the series of demonstrations, even teachers threatening that they may only be coming to work on maybe 2 days per week. Then also he said he's going to ensure that he end military takeover in West Africa, and in less than a month or 2 months, we saw the military in Niger retaliated by taking over their own president and maybe detaining him, and now they are saying they are going to charge him for disloyalty and wanting to commit a treasonable act, because according to them, he is actually canvassing for the West to invade the country, which could result into dire consequences on the country. So it's a sad event, and we need to be very careful how to handle it. Maybe ECOWAS can think twice. They should think against invading Niger. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, focused on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you with a special report and the latest analysis on Niger. Okay, Auna Asma Kita said, "Are you aware that you are only showing your computer?" Of course I was. I was only trying to give you a special report on Niger. Thank you for your comment. Good day.